Okay, you can begin with roll call, Mr. Cummins.
All right. Crouch.
Present.
Houston.
Present.
Quinn.
Present.
Broom.
Present.
Yonkis. Kruger.
Here.
Muth. Muth.
He cannot attend. Thank you.
All right. Walsh.
I think I saw Ray on. I'm wondering if he's having some technical difficulties.
I do see Walsh on. And Greg.
Here.
All right. Madam Chairperson, you have quorum. Mr. Walsh, can you hear us?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, we have Ray. Excellent. Thank you, Ray. Okay.
Moving in to approval of the agenda.
I have no changes to the agenda today.
Motion to approve. I will make that Chanel Crouch.
Jim Croom, support.
And Mr. Cummins, if you could call a roll call vote, please, for approval of the agenda.
Do we have to do roll call vote? Can't we just all say yay or nay?
Yes, we do.
For these, we have to do them.
Mr. Cummins, can you hear me?
Yes. All right. Crouch.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Quinn.
Yes.
Croom.
Yes.
Kruger.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Greg.
Yes.
Ready.
Passes
The
unanimously.
agenda has been approved. And then approval of the June 10th meeting minutes.
Are the meeting minutes from June 10th. If you have not had a moment to review them. I know it's been a while since we've met, a little over a month. If you might recall, our last conversation really centered on requesting funds from the Downtown Development Authority to support downtown business activities. And I am pleased to share, and I know many of you are aware that we did receive $20,000 in funding that we requested. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Seconded.
All right.
Crouch.
Yes.
Houston.
Yes.
Quinn.
Yes.
Croom.
Yes.
Kruger.
Yes.
Walsh. Was that it? Yes.
Yes.
And Greg.
Yes.
Perfect. And then moving to consideration to limit public comment to 2 minutes per individual.
So I know that we've met a couple of times via Zoom. As the board may recall, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which is why we're all kind of meeting in this capacity right now, we are holding all our meetings at the city right now via Zoom. The city attorney does recommend that all boards and commissions limit public comment to 2 minutes at this time. I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we can take a roll call vote regarding passing that.
Motion to approve. Crouch.
Seconded, Justin. Houston.
All right, and Quinn,
Yes.
Kroom,
Yes.
Kruger,
Yeah.
and Walsh,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Excellent. That motion passes.
Okay, public comment. Is there anybody on the line?
We do not have anyone on the line for public comment.
Alrighty. And I guess we move on to election of officers.
So, per the Downtown Management Board bylaws, at the first meeting of the fiscal year, so in this case it was August, you have the opportunity to nominate your election of officers. You are all obviously very gracious volunteers to the board. And so what this requires is a motion, a second, and then a vote of who to name as chair, vice chair, and treasurer. I have not heard from the persons in those existing positions if they are interested in stepping down, but certainly this is the opportunity for you guys to discuss that. So really, Madam Chairperson, it is up to you, but essentially you will require a motion and then a second regarding each of the positions, and then we'll need to do a roll call vote. And as a reminder, Ms. Crouch serves as chair, Mr. Houston serves as vice chair, and Mr. Queen serves as treasurer.
Okay. Does anybody have anything they want to say?
Okay, then I guess I would ask, is there a motion to nominate a chair at this time?
Any opinions on anything?
I'll make a
Jim
motion
Kroom.
to nominate Chanel as the chair.
Support Jim Kroom.
And do we just roll on this?
Yes, I need to do a roll call vote. Yes.
All right, Crouch.
Yes.
Yeah. Houston,
Yes.
Quinn,
Yes.
Kroom,
Yes.
Kruger,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to vice chair. I'll nominate Justin Houston.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I heard, so there's a little, I think they said vice chair should,
I said Justin. I nominated Justin.
Oh, I'll second. Mike.
And a roll call?
All right, Crouch,
Yes.
Houston,
I accept. Yes.
Quinn,
Yes.
Kroom,
Yes.
Kruger,
Yes.
Walsh, and Greg.
Yes.
Does anyone hear Walsh's vote?
I did not.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you, Ray.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Walsh votes yes. And then finally, moving on to treasurer. Is there a nomination for someone to serve as treasurer?
Jim Crow.
Is there a second?
I
Support.
second that. Fantastic choice. Houston.
All right. Crouch,
Yes.
Houston,
Sure do. Yes.
Quinn,
Yes.
Broom,
Yes, sir.
Kruger,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Excellent. Now have your election of officers. You have graciously agreed to serve through June 30th.
Alrighty, moving on. Financial reports.
So I have some good news for the Downtown Management Board. So as I mentioned before, in June, immediately following, I made a request upon the Downtown Management Board's behalf to the Downtown Development Authority to support downtown events and activities, really in 4 main phases, and we're going to go through that in just a little bit. But essentially, it was live entertainment events, coming up with some ideas and activities for things as students come back, and the rental of tables and chairs, and things of that nature. So the good news is the Downtown Development Authority did observe that request and approve that request. What that meant is, as you might recall during our last meeting, or what you read in meeting minutes, was that initially, given that we had to cancel all of our spring events, we really didn't fundraise to the level that we were hoping to. And so in this, you can kind of see the fiscal year 20 amended budget, and then you can see the fiscal year end. And so essentially what happened was, we lost, frankly, almost about $8,000 in revenue that we were expecting, but given the fact that the Downtown Development Authority did agree to give us an additional $20,000, we actually had, when it all kind of balanced out, about $17,918.96 now in our savings account, if you will. So we refer to that as our unrestricted fund balance, but that was the good news. So we went from thinking we were going to have to dip into our fund reserve balance, that was 2060, to now having a revolving fund balance. What that means is that, the new fiscal year just started on July 1, that money carries with us. I would assume that the board would probably like to carry that money into contract services and then contract services marketing, because that's where usually our normal expenditures are. So I can kind of scroll down here, but those are really where we kind of do our own sponsorship of events that we either host or that we partner with others on. We do promotions, visitors guides, wayfinding, holiday lighting, things of that nature. But really, the long and short of it is that we net a yield positive, which is always good from an audit perspective. So we ended the year in good stead. Does anybody have any questions regarding that? I'm happy to answer any questions. The one thing I did want to point out quickly is that I believe that will actually, I know I have $17,918.96. That should actually increase by an additional $2,200, because as you might recall, we had funded the summer concert series out of our fiscal year 20 budget. Unfortunately, that became canceled due to COVID-19. It has not yet hit the books, so I can't reflect it yet in the June 30th Treasurer's Report, but that will be amended. You will actually have closer to $20,000 while it's all said and done, because we are owed due back that $2,200. I did check on that today with Parks and Recreation staff, and it is being processed. So good news really for everyone. Any questions about that? We like to spend money. Okay. So kind of giving that, so knowing that, I did just want to kind of bring to everyone's attention. I just did want to pull up the DMB fiscal year 21 budget so we could look at it. So I know that I brought it up during the June 10th meeting, but as a reminder, so we've started our new budget. It began July 1. So to date, with our assessment of the real property that the City Council did approve, you're looking at $44,470. You have $200 in interest revenues. You have a reappropriated fund balance in there that we initially thought we would spend, but now we actually have more. $4,500 in contributions and donations, advertising, miscellaneous. So you're looking at, we had initially approved a $56,170 budget. My point is that you are looking at $20,000 more now that we can play with, essentially, and use. So you're looking at closer to a $76,000 budget. So we will reflect that. Again, it would be my recommendation that we sink that $20,000 into like contract services and contract services marketing. But if the board or any of the subcommittees, obviously it is your funds, have a different opinion, we'll certainly honor that and plug those additional funds into whatever line item you would like. Does that make sense to everyone? See if that makes sense. So that's the good news, is that we go into the new fiscal year closer to what we've operated at in the past. So 76,170.
So are we supposed to make a recommendation on that right now?
You certainly can, or Chanel, if you would prefer, we could go through it more during the subcommittee meetings later this month. Whatever you would like to do. Just bearing in mind you can have $20,000. So.
If we put it into contract services marketing, we can always still spend it on whatever subcommittees.
If you put it in the contract services marketing, so what the city does is we essentially amend generally like the whole city budgets twice a year. So I would recommend, like, if you guys want to say, let's just put the whole 20K into contract services marketing or the two accounts, that's fine. And then if we end up shifting it, like you guys decide to have a new event or it goes somewhere else, that's fine as long as it all evens out from an audit perspective. It's not a problem. So.
Okay. Well, I don't know what everybody thinks on it. I don't have a problem putting it in contract services and then going from there as needed, because kind of deciding that in a bunch of subcommittees seems a little bit difficult.
Sure. That would be my recommendation. Is that we?
Yeah, and we have the ability to move it around, so that seems right.
Okay. Okay. Well, then I will reflect that in the next treasurer's report.
I have a question,
Sure.
Amy.
Yes.
Have you been put on any reduced hours or furlough or anything like that?
I have not.
Okay.
We were working remotely, and my understanding, at least I can tell you for the planning department division, everyone now is back full time. We do not, however, right now as a downtown management board, we don't have an intern. I have a couple of resumes on my desk. So right now it is me, and I'm so gracious in helping some other staff members, but it is currently just me, but my hope and plan is to have a new intern ready and introduced to the board at the next board meeting.
Okay, that's if you had any effect on you personally, then
Sure.
I would expect that to flow through the charges to us from the city, but it sounds like there aren't any.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. So do we need to like vote on it, or can you just do it?
I can just do that since you guys don't vote for your financial reports, you just accept it. So I will obviously keep you up to date. I'll try to get you a better end of year fiscal year 30 estimate. I think everybody's pretty familiar with this, but generally the auditors come in September. So I think I'll probably have a finalized audit for you, late fall for you to review and formally approve. But at this point, as I mentioned, we are in good shape. We will be in the positive, in the back for the rest of the year.
Nice. Okay. Nice to have money.
Okay, so next on the list is a discussion of the professional services agreement between the City of East Lansing and the Downtown Management Board. So we began this process approximately 2 years ago. So this would be our third year into entering into an agreement. And as you might recall, during one of the Downtown Management Board strategic priority meetings, we met with the city attorney, and at that time we were really discussing, editing our bylaws, which we ended up doing, kind of talking about long-term, short-term strategies. And at that time, it was his recommendation that since the Downtown Management Board receives its the special assessment and the city is the fiduciary, that you actually enter into a contract agreement for staff time, since I and the interns are staff employees. So before you do have a draft professional services agreement. It is the same agreement that you have approved the last 2 years. Essentially, it names me as our main liaison, and I will handle all scheduling, coordination, document preparation as they relate to the DMV. It states that you will obviously be invoiced for all time served. And I will tell you that the city attorney did review this and that it was approved in its current form. But certainly if I'd like to review it further or has any questions, I am happy to address those.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Staff time is the same amount. You're being billed for the same amount of time that was billed last year. with our merchandise.
Okay, Mike, motion to approve. I will second that.
Excellent. We can call vote.
Crouch,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Quinn,
Yes.
Croom,
Yes.
and Kruger,
Yes.
Walsh, Walsh,
We'll check on Walsh again.
Greg,
Yes.
and Mr. Walsh.
Ray, can you hear us?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. Excellent.
So downtown businesses support activities funded through partnership with DDA.
So, on June 11th, the DDA did authorize funding to the Downtown Management Board in the total amount of $20,000. I know we've already talked about that a couple of times. And essentially, it was to support 4 different types of activities. Number 1 was temporary, either live entertainment or art installations. And as you guys might recall, I know it's been a little bit of time since we met, we had thought about and implemented this Nights in Downtown East Lansing concept where we're going to try to have live entertainment. So singers, but sort of ambient singers to sort of create this atmosphere, not necessarily like Star Farm, right? Where people are up and dancing and kind of in each other's spaces. And so we were actually in the process, DMV staff, of, hiring people and getting contracts together. And then the decision was made that sort of all live entertainment should be canceled because it was just too high of a risk. So what we have been doing in the interim is working on some really temporary art installations. There are some pieces that are focused on social distancing and mask wearing and general support of the downtown community. We have, for example, spray painted, and Mr. Cummins and I have gotten blue fingers kind of doing like flip-flop spray paints in the downtown, kind of where they're 6 feet apart. We have done some chalk art in the open dining area as it's been there. There's also a very neat science mural that's in Bailey Court Park that I encourage everyone to kind of check out. It will be completed this week. So those are the types of activities that we're doing that kind of are, kind of low cost, but high impact and still trying to be a draw to the downtown. The next exciting thing that we've been working on is a partnership with Michigan State University. I have a feeling that perhaps several of you have seen some of the "Together We Will Stay Safe to Stay Open" verbiage. If you have not been downtown lately, I encourage you to look under the clock tower. There's some pretty significant banner signage there. There is a sign at the corner of Michigan and Harrison. And then there are general flyers, 8.5 by 11 flyers. The other thing that we have done is put together a social media toolkit that has been emailed out to the businesses twice now. And we've also printed some copies and are delivering them currently and plan to go out later today as well. So the thought process here is that, we're all in this together. For the first time ever, Michigan State University actually allowed the city to use images of Sparty. And so we're really proud of that partnership. So we're really trying to work hard to get information out to the businesses as easily and as accessible as possible so that they can use it. There's also some stickers that we've been distributing to restaurants and businesses so that, that would stay safe. Next is authorized use of right-of-way. So that is currently underway, in which the DMB and the DDA are essentially covering the cost of tables and slip covers. I'm going to be frank, we haven't had a ton of interest in this. We've had a couple of businesses sign up to do it. I think that perhaps that's for a variety of reasons. I don't want to speak for them, but the students aren't quite back yet, obviously. So I think that people might be hesitant to be outside or place things outside without a lot of people yet, but or new people, I should say, downtown. But we have been doing this right now. Everyone, whether they use one of our tables or they use their own, is able to place the tables out through August 28, 2020. So that is certainly there. Welcome back activities. So this is something that the Business Relations Committee is going to be taking up and working on. But this is something where we might come up with some creative ideas to draw people downtown. So And we talked about kind of like a welcome back for the MSU students. Certainly, guys, I feel like sometimes with COVID, we're taking this day to day. So I know that there's a safety component to be had here, but we were provided with an average budget of about $5,000 for those types of activities. And then really just an unrestricted fund balance where we could, draw from it as normal. The one thing I wanted to point out, and I think many of you have been on the board for a while now, is that we have a call loop texting system. Historically, this was kind of being paid for by the DDA. It is now their wish that we take it over, and so that essentially we take their money, but now kind of manage the system. I personally think that this is something positive because we can use access, right, to people's text message information to maybe send some marketing materials. So I think that might be something big since we now have all that information. So it's $29 a month. It's really nominal. We're really looking over, just over a little more than $300 a year for this. So that is really, where we are at. I wanted to kind of share really a budget of what we have expended so far. So since July 1, as I mentioned, we've kind of done call loop. We've gotten some chalk paint and pinwheels. We've gotten some stencils out there. We are purchasing some A-frame signs that can be now ours, the DMBs and DDAs that we can utilize because parking has been gracious and has been allowing us to borrow them. But now we can have something of our own so we can easily put signage in there. And then really, the rental of table and slip covers. So all told, of that $20,000, we still have $15,134.64 that we can spend. So we've spent about a quarter of it so far. And I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has. I do have a couple of pictures of like some temporary artwork that we've done and like some flip-flops that we've taken downtown. And then this is the social media toolkit that I was referencing that lots of members of city staff worked really hard on to kind of get out to the businesses. So it does include things like, public health messaging. These PDFs are in a downloadable form so that, businesses can use them easily. They can, select what they want. I can tell you that the designs were worked on with the public relations firm that Michigan State University works with. So that was very generous of them to kind of partner with us. And so far, I will say that I've heard mostly back from restaurants, but that they've been pretty pleased with and have placed like a lot of the flyers and information out there, and they've used a lot of the stickers. So we've just tried to make this as user-friendly as possible, but this is just some examples of the artwork that businesses have now at their disposal. Does anybody have specific questions, comments, thoughts on, additional things we should be doing with the funds? Happy to further discuss.
Hey, Amy, do you have a notion of what Audrey was concerned about or commenting on with respect to the funds?
So my understanding, I was able to talk to Audrey Yonkis a little bit earlier this week, and I think that she felt that maybe spending money on tables and chairs right now, really it's tables and slip covers, might not be the best use of funds. I did share with her that right now we've only spent a couple of $100, $240 to it. And so when she realized that we weren't spending, a significant amount of the funding provided, I think she was a little more comfortable with that. But I do think that she has concerns that, either we might just want to hype that type of program more and or kind of step back from it a little bit right now, since a lot of businesses aren't interested, for a variety of reasons. So a lot of businesses aren't really taking advantage of the tables and slip covers. So I kind of heard her say both of those things. Right now, I've reserved the table. There's 8 tables I've reserved and slip covers through the end of August. So, we'll pay that rental fee. Now, whether we want to try to extend it and work with the city manager's office to say, hey, it ends the end of August. If football season goes through, can we continue on through September? I don't know if that's helpful or harmful to businesses, because I know in a normal football season, there's a ton of foot traffic. There's a lot of people on the sidewalks, but that was what Ms. Yonkis shared with me. So.
I just wanted to say real quick that I thought that Adam and you, Amy, and the whole communications team did a really nice job with that packet that they sent out to the businesses. I know they put a lot of time and effort into it, and I found it very useful, and I think that it was time well spent.
Thanks, we appreciate that. And certainly it's an editable document, so you know, if there are other things you think we should add to it, you know, we're into constant improvement. So, and if people have questions, they can email this business.support@savieslansing.com. I am monitoring that. So,
Can you scroll to the top so I can relook at the kind of suggestions? Is that what they are? I guess I just want to be clear that I'm understanding. Are these the funds that are delineated by an amount and an idea tied with that? Is that like that's dictated by DDA and exactly how we have to spend that money, or?
oh, I see, with the budget. Is that what you mean, Chanel?
Yeah.
So what I essentially asked DDA during the meeting was, do you have concerns with this general budget? Are you real concerned if we delineate from it? And the feedback I received was no. So for example, if we decide that, you know, hey, we might want to spend a little bit less or a little bit more towards like temporary art installations, I think DDA is fine with that. I submitted to them an amended budget, kind of already saying to them, hey, you know, live entertainment was out, we're planning to do this instead, and they were supportive. Certainly, you know, Mr. Kruger, Mr. Kruger, feel free to step in and say that. But so far, I think DDA is just really interested and most invested in us spending the $20,000 however we see fit is best, and that they would just like general updates is the feedback I was receiving. So again, so we've spent close to 5 of the 20, so we have 15,000.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Chanel?
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear on like what.
So for example, yeah. So for example, like, you know, I can tell you as staff, I keep going back and forth about, well, you know, do we really do a live scale welcome back activity right now, or do we do something different? Do we do something in lieu of that? Does that make more sense? Do we
I mean, like, is there an issue with saving that money? Like, say the environment changes, like hopefully one day, like, do we have to spend that money in the next month? Like, is there like a timeline on it? Because like, if there's a vaccination and life goes semi-normal in October, like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, is there harm in saving that as to kind of reinvigorate? Because if we're going to continue the way it is now, I would want to help the businesses, and I don't know if there's like, if it's best, I don't know. I'm just wondering if there's like a time limit.
Sure. Well, the current funds, really, we have the current funds in our new budget. So I guess I would say June 30th is kind of when it would expire from a fiduciary perspective. So we have time. So if you guys wanted to kind of reevaluate and say, you know what, we want to take this $15,000 and spend it really differently, yes, we have some time.
Because I'm just also curious to see, like, things obviously change really rapidly in this situation, and people are learning more every day about what patterns of behavior people are going to have and things like that. And I think that we're going to go through kind of a big shift in what East Lansing kind of looks like over the next month with the students coming back. And I think that that is kind of worthwhile to see and use as information to best make decisions. Because the climate that we're in right now and that we have been in for the last couple months doesn't really include that. But I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Chanel, that we'd ought to hold off and see what it tastes and smells like when the students get back, and what their usages of downtown are, their preferred usages, and what ways we can best reach them in order to, you know, leverage their business for the benefit of all of downtown. So I think it's prudent to wait unless there's a pressing need now, which I haven't heard. We're kind of taking a shot in the dark.
So we feel like the social media toolkit has been helpful, if I'm kind of hearing that. You know, we'll distribute flyers. We're actually distributing the flyers. I don't have any, I will say this, I don't have any other pending contracts. So like art installations or anything of that nature, I don't have anything else pending. So if you would like us to hold off on that, that's fine. I think as a staff, certainly, we just want to try to be as helpful as possible to figure out ways to encourage people to come down. So
I think in terms of the art installation, I think if we're gonna go that route and kind of do that, I mean, they have on this document, it's like $8,000 for art installations, I think, in my opinion, and I don't know if that's worth anything, but I'd rather do it as like kind of an all out so people could take like a walking tour rather than something that's like pieces here. We did this this week, like to kind of like, I know they do these in other cities and I don't know what scale, how much $8,000 gets you in terms of that. Cause I'm not I don't know. But to do something more of like, all of this art was done over this week and then people are able to go check it out after that, rather than like happening to be like, oh, we did one piece here, go check that one out. And then in a couple weeks be like, oh, we did. So if we're going to go that route and spend that significant amount of money, I think it should be more of like you walk through town and you like see it. Like I know I was in Jackson and they had somebody come and it probably cost way more than $8,000, but it was really cool to walk through. I know they did it last year. They had like a whole event for it, but to walk through and see all of the art, to sit outside at a restaurant and be on a wall that has art or whatever. So I think that maybe if we're going to spend that amount of money to make it most effective for people would be kind of on a larger bang rather than spread out. But I'd like other opinions on that too. I don't know. If anybody has any opinions.
Well, I'll say this. I know that our game plan is to resume via Zoom the subcommittee meetings. So this is certainly something that we can but we have nothing pending. Mr. Cummins, I didn't know if maybe you wanted to add something from a DDA perspective.
You're breaking up. If there's anything on that from a DDA perspective?
Yes, and I asked Adam to swing, to share an opinion if he had one as well.
Yeah, I think that brings up a good point. Just to give some context behind those temporary art installations is, we're not necessarily looking to create these big events to draw crowds, but we still want to draw people downtown to shop locally in a safe manner. And so the thought behind the temporary art installations was to provide that messaging, let's stay safe, to stay open, let's still have a vibrant, attractive downtown. I totally understand where you're coming from with that comment, but I just want to throw some context in there.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that it should be like a big event, but more or less like something like, I don't know if I would, if we're spending that kind of money, I think for art installations, I'd want people to see it. And I don't know if I would go downtown for one at a time just to see it. And, kind of more like that you could do a walking tour and see a bunch of art is, I guess, kind of what
I mean, I think that's a walking tour concept like that could actually help draw people, but not in a crowd per se, where they could be spread out and, enjoy the art. But yeah, totally understand the point. I just want to give some, context behind that temporary art installation thing.
It seems to me like if you're going to have more of a walking tour sort of a situation, it's going to cost a lot more than $8,000, and certainly a lot more than what's left now, which looks like what, about $3,000 or $5,000.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems like a lot of our.
Go ahead, Chanel.
I don't know, just in general.
Well, and I don't know that. I don't think that the DDA. I know that we approved the $20,000, with the way that it was, broken up as presented to us. But I don't think that that's to say that it can't be reallocated into other ways of spending that money as well. If we decide that the art installations aren't worth the amount of money that they cost to do, or whatever the case may be.
So does anybody else on the board have an opinion on art installations? No? No. Okay, well, then I guess probably the best, I would just say to pause on it till we can talk in kind of maybe a smaller group, because we're not getting a lot of feedback right now in terms of that, because I just feel like it's a significant portion of our budget. So if we want to do something, maybe take something off of something, like if we're not going to do kind of that $5,000 kind of welcome back event, maybe we did it in an art installation type tour, doing something, or getting some students to volunteer to do stuff when the students come back, or if that's something, a road we want to go down. But I think it might be a larger discussion than what we're having right now. And it just seems like I don't want to waste those funds if we could do something cool with them that is helpful.
Absolutely. Well, I am happy to, I will send Zoom appointments out quickly, but we generally have our marketing committee meetings the third Tuesday, and then our business relations the fourth Friday. So I will absolutely put them on the agenda with small groups to discuss. And certainly if anybody has any thoughts and wants to email them to me or Chanel, I'm happy to share those. So.
Alrighty. So then the supportive campus coupons initiative.
So you might have recalled that last year was the first time that the Downtown Management Board agreed to kind of partner, and that's really what we did, not financially, but partnered methodically kind of with solutionsnow.biz. And so they offer these campus coupon books. I think probably many of you have seen them. They are, kind of the standard coupon books that you get with, I'm just trying to pull it up for you. They kind of look like this. This was the front cover. And so they approached me again. Last time what we did was we partnered with them. They printed 40,000 copies of the coupon books, and we distributed them and they distributed them. This year, they're still very interested in partnering with us at no cost. Their hope is that if we did that, then the Downtown Management Board would be willing to have myself send out a letter to the downtown businesses saying basically something to the effect of, hey, we're once again partnering with this advertising opportunity. They would like to drastically reduce the rate to anybody in the Downtown Management Board district by at least half. So generally businesses that get a third spread, it's at a much greater cost than the $300. So they would like to offer that to the DMB businesses. I can tell you that they do have someone that's kind of walking the streets, and they have had enough interest. So they actually do have enough interest and commitments right now to print a book. But they would like more Downtown East Lansing businesses in the book, and so they want to offer this opportunity. So I can tell you that they printed 40,000 copies. I just have probably a couple, well, probably close to 2,000 left. But that being said, we didn't have any of our spring events, so I could distribute them. So they actually were quite popular. They can also do a virtual component. I asked them about that yesterday. So if we are interested, they can also, so those that advertise in terms of businesses, they can also place that online and place a link for them. So this is a copy of the letter that went out last year when they were working on this concept to see it. So, again, we're happy to partner at no cost to them. The other benefit to the Downtown Management Board is that we do receive our logo. And they also said that if we'd like to, we can receive our logo, and then they would actually give us a page where we could put narrative in it. So for example, if we wanted to say something like, welcome to Downtown East Lansing, we're thrilled that you're here. During this time of COVID-19, we are working hard to, keep you safe, and kind of perhaps take that direction, or we could keep COVID out of it and just say, welcome to Downtown East Lansing. We have over 198 businesses. We're glad that you're here. We want you to be here. Sorry, my lights just clicked off. And so that's kind of the opportunity before you. There's no financial commitment from the DMB's part. It's really just this Solutions Now Campus coupons group that's trying to get other businesses involved. So it's really entirely up to the board if they want to partner on this initiative or not.
Well, it sounds like it's not costing us any money. I'd be interested to hear if the businesses had positive experience with it last year, but there doesn't sound like a downside to me.
The lady that does it is really nice. I don't have a problem doing it. It doesn't cost us anything. It's just another resource if people want to use it. So do we vote on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably it would be appropriate to vote on it, even though we're not making a financial commitment. I think it's
Okay.
best to have a vote to reference that, yes, you're comfortable partnering and that I will issue a letter to the businesses saying that we're doing that. If that works.
I'll move to partner again this year with solutionsnow.biz to partner with them on the coupon book again in the same fashion that we did last year.
I'll second. Crouch seconds.
All right, Crouch,
Yes.
Houston,
Yes.
Quinn,
Yes.
Kroom,
Yes.
Kroger,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
All right. 5.4, consideration of sponsorship of Michigan State University virtual participation event.
So I think it goes unsaid that a lot of things are different this year. As you recall, last year we did participate in the MSU's participation event. It was our second year doing that. So there were thousands upon thousands of students. I think it was actually the most well-attended event that MSU had for participation thus far. If my memory serves me, there were more than 12,000 students that went to it. So MSU doesn't feel like having all those students together is safe. So they're offering essentially a virtual component to it this year. In the past, the Downtown Management Board has sponsored it at a level of $700. There are 2 sponsorship levels currently available to us if we are interested. One is a Spartan level sponsorship, is the highest tier, it's $1,500. This would include a virtual booth. It would include a social media spotlight, a business spotlight, and listed as a fireworks sponsor because apparently they're going to do a fireworks display at Cheerleading Field on August 1st. Or the green and white sponsor level is for $700. That includes a virtual booth and then logo placement on digital publications for the event.
So they already did the fireworks?
Well, I'm thinking either I wrote that wrong or they meant September 1st is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
So I apologize. I thought I copied and pasted this directly from their correspondence, but maybe I got that wrong. So let me confirm that with Eric, who's our rep, but I think they must have meant September 1st.
Which is a Tuesday.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. I think it must have been September 1st. So I apologize whether I wrote it, transcribed it wrong or.
Well, it's no problem. I just want to make sure.
No, I agree, because why would we do that? I can't imagine because students aren't back yet. So my questions, I received sort of this general correspondence, then I reached out and said, well, can you explain to me the features of really, virtual booth? Has people had time to kind of glance at these, or would you like me to click into one of these so you can kind of see it? But essentially that there's a platform and we could kind of create our own demos. So think of it as sort of like a slideshow where we can share information about, who we are, what we do, how important it is to come to downtown East Lansing. In terms of the sponsor spotlight, that would be on this participation Facebook page and put on the event page that they're creating. I also asked them because they mentioned that they're going to have a business spotlight in the RSO newsletter. And I said, okay, so how many RSOs do you have? And they said they have 213 registered student orgs on campus, so pretty significant. So it is entirely up to the Downtown Management Board. I recognize it's a different format. I can tell you that last year we did get a lot of traffic. You might recall that last time what we did was we played the Plinko board. So we collected coupons from all the businesses. We had this life-size Plinko board. Mia McKenna and I went out there and, people stood in line so that they could get coupons or giveaways that you guys selected to give out. So that is how it worked last time. So obviously recognizing that this is a different situation, you know, I don't know how the board feels. Certainly we have funds at the beginning of the new fiscal year, so we can certainly, you know, we certainly have the funds in place if that's something that interests you, but I recognize that it's different. So this is just an example, if you do have your computers in front of you, of like a demo booth and kind of how you can set it up. So there can be like a profile, there can be resources, we could actually embed a video. So, you know, if any of you wanted to be interviewed or even talk about your businesses, things of that nature. So
I have an opinion.
maybe there, I just don't know. Obviously, it's up to the board if they felt like this was an appropriate use of funds. So we can appropriate them too.
In my experience with this event, I attended one before we did Plinko and fun stuff. And the reason we started doing that stuff is because we got virtually very difficult time to get traction at the event. It wasn't as successful as it could have been because we're not like some cool like Spartan dance club somebody wants to join, or, you know, a lot of the people there are looking for like clubs and just ways to get involved. So, and they were like walking around to all the free stuff. It's interesting to me that they're charging the same rates for a virtual thing that I'm certain will garner much less traffic just by the students to go through all of the booths. I don't know that I feel super positive about participating because I don't really know what traction we would get, considering we had a hard time when we were in their face before we started doing free stuff.
Support.
Did he say he supports what I said? Is that what?
Yeah, I think Justin had said.
So it's Jim, and thinking through that, I agree. I don't have an opinion. I can't really feel how much business it drove to the downtown, or how many. I guess the stop bys were low. Does anyone think there would be more stop bys if in this electronic milieu, if you will, the students are going to look at sort of a table of contents, and one of those clickbaits would be what to do in downtown East Lansing, or all about downtown East Lansing? Would that draw clicks, and then something that prompts interest or drives business would pop up? I'm just trying to think out loud because it is sort of a new way to conduct it. And I agree on the cost. I don't know why the cost would be the same. That's kind of the MSU method of operation, is to keep their costs the same, no matter what they offer.
I think that people oftentimes went to the event with their friends, and it was like a fun thing to do on campus when you're a freshman and you're trying to meet new people and you're trying to do something. And being virtual, I don't know if as many people would even log on. Maybe if you were saying to frame it that way, that we might get clicks by people that are on there, but I don't know how many people are going to be going on there looking for new things. They're probably researching like clubs to join, and not going to be, it's not like a walking, they came up to us because we had something to give to them. That's why the first time they wouldn't come up, the second time we're like, we have free stuff, come to our table. And then people were like, oh, free, okay, but they weren't really interested outside of that. So yeah, I don't know, I'm not interested in spending the money on this, but we can.
Well, you guys are the business owners, so you would know. I'm just trying to think about ways to drive that business, and where does that leave you all? I guess every single new student will probably take 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 adventures downtown and walk around. So that's going to happen anyway. So I don't think we'll be missing out on anybody. We're going to get their eyeballs and their footsteps downtown at some point. Yeah, leave it up to the business folks. I'm going to be following your leads.
I guess this is Justin. The only question I guess I have on it is, the clicks is one thing. Before, we've also said that there was some benefit to just having resources provided, like a packet provided that we would, be able to share coupons, things like that would drive them downtown because they get something out of it. I think Chanel's right. I think realistically, a lot of people stopped by because we were giving them something. So I don't know that they're going to spend their click time on us versus maybe other groups that they're looking for. It's likely to be that there's going to be a lower amount of involvement. So fewer people will come to this. So already you're going to get reduced amount of, time with those people. I just don't know if there's any benefit. Is there a way to have MSU include materials about the downtown without paying so much? Or what is, kind of the breakdown of that? I don't know that I'm really understanding. Are they just not going to say that there's a downtown right across the street? Wouldn't it seem valuable to them as a university to also share that there's, things? So I don't know if I really fully grasp what that looks like. I think the cost is probably high for what they're offering. I see benefit in it, but I don't know if I see that much benefit in it. It is what we're here to do at the end of the day, though, is to provide access to marketing opportunities for the downtown businesses. Whether or not this is the opportunity, I do agree that that's kind of up to the businesses on the board to determine if this is the opportunity that they feel they get the most benefit from, whether or not you feel that, students are going to come downtown regardless, and that this really isn't where we should put our money this year, particularly, which I think could make sense. So. If there's a way for us to get materials to them that they can share with their people, if MSU is willing to work with us to do that, I think it's in their benefit to have a vibrant downtown that people know about and visit. So I don't see why they would charge us necessarily to put on a link or a PDF, right, to share some social media posts. It seems like it's in a mutually beneficial situation at that point. So I don't know if we need to pay to have a virtual booth or not. That does seem excessive dollars wise.
Ray Walsh. I also think that there are better ways to spend money and don't feel it's worthwhile to support this at this time. As a downtown business, I don't feel it would be.
I think we lost him. Ray, are you still there?
I think we lost them.
Okay,
So I'll move that we decline the opportunity at this point in time, or maybe we just don't have to do anything if there's no second to the motion.
Do we have to take action?
Nope. If you guys don't want to move forward, and this is entirely up to you. If you would like, I'm happy to reach out to MSU and say, to Justin's point, if we provided a couple of $100, are you willing to maybe, work with us on that? And what we're thinking is, maybe present that to the marketing committee, the subcommittee later this month, and have a discussion. Because at a subcommittee level, you can approve $500 or less if you feel like that's worthwhile. And perhaps you feel like that's appropriate, but maybe you don't. But that's just something else I was thinking of.
And if they let us know the number of clicks and eyeballs that we got, if you go that way, I don't see any harm with communicating back our feelings.
Alrighty. Unless there's motion, let's move on.
Okay, so the marketing committee and the business relations committees did not meet this month. We've actually not met since March, but as I mentioned before, there's a lot of steps to these Zoom meetings, but I think that our game plan is to just start to institute the subcommittee meetings as well so that we can kind of continue to get on track. It's the new fiscal year, so we actually have funds to spend. So I think that that will likely be appropriate. Unless anybody has any other questions, I do have a couple of parking updates from Caleb if folks would like to hear them. So a couple of updates from Caleb, and I know that Sarah's on the line from the parking office as well. He said that the gated parking facilities transactions are currently 30 minutes or less and are free through August 15th. I can tell you that there is verbiage and flyers up at the entry and exit areas of all of the gated garages, so those are out. So if the City Council will actually discuss how to proceed beyond the August 15th date at their August 11th meeting. So I guess that staff will take to City Council a consideration of, do we want to extend past the free 30 minutes? So the way that it works right now, in case you're unfamiliar, is if I pull into the parking lot and I stay 29 minutes, it's entirely free. But if I pull out after 40 minutes, I pay my 40 minutes. Does that make sense to everybody? So I pay that fee for with it. So it's not a grace period. It's literally like kind of all or nothing. But I know that people have been using it, and I'm sure if you're interested, Caleb can kind of draw the metrics. I'm confident he'll present that to City Council. Another update is that facility repairs warranty work is scheduled for several gated facilities this upcoming Thursday and Friday. And the traffic impacts are expected to be minimal. So a lot of just, operations updates. The Charles Street garage, which is the one next to obviously near Buffalo Wild Wings, is scheduled for cable replacement this Wednesday. The elevator is going to be out of service most of the day. They are going to put significant signage up in place. In addition, the Charles Street garage drain pipes project is in progress. It is scheduled for completion by mid-August. So that is affecting the alleyway directly behind Jackson the Zone. So it is not behind Curious Books or Collegeville textbook area, but it is directly behind the zone. So drop-off vehicles can only, kind of go as far as Midway Point, and then would either have to back up or find another area. All those businesses have been notified. So those are the updates Caleb shared with me. I don't know if anybody has any questions you'd like me to relay, or certainly, I think I saw Sarah on at one point if she has anything to add. Caleb did want me to share this with you.
All right, thank you. And then development updates.
Okay, so Center City project. Here's what I know, guys. The Jolly Pumpkin sign is up. All indications are that they will likely be open. We're hearing, middle of fall is kind of what we're hearing right now. So I will continue to keep you updated. During this COVID time, really all of the occupancy stuff has been approved. So I don't know if you have any questions about the open dining area, but that is going to be closing off August 15th. So that is scheduled to close down. But Jolly Pumpkin is underway, and we're hoping to get them open and in soon. In terms of Park District, so they are working on getting the residential completed as soon as possible, shooting for, by the end of August, obviously, since students come back beginning of September. It's really just going to depend on, where they are at, and, with all of the inspections by the city building team. So they are working on it. I can tell you, I've personally observed them working late into the night, but they are working on it, and they really hope to have students in by the end of August. And then in terms of the Graduate Hotel, so they are working on the exterior facade. And I think that their game plan is to work on the exterior facade, get that buttoned up, and then kind of put things on pause and then finish up next spring. So be done by spring of 2021 and hopefully be open by spring of 2021. So those are updates I have, but I know our DDA liaison report is next. If anybody has anything else they have to add or they have questions, I'm happy to answer those or try to find out for you.
I think DDA liaison report.
All right, it's Jim. I can do this if you want, Michael. I got a email from Chad that sort of outlined what we've done. So I've got a nice cheat sheet. But we met on the 23rd. We recommended that council approve the application for the recreational marijuana facility down across from Brookfield in that refurbished apartment building that's next to the fraternity. There wasn't a lot of opposition to that. They had, if you remember, an original medical approval, and magically before they even opened or conducted business, they want to kind of remodel the building a little bit with a vaulted ceiling and some other business areas so that they can conduct separate medical and recreational marijuana. So that was universally supported. Also supported that council approve a modified special use permit for the gateway of East Lansing, which is in the where Bigby is now, the new building down on Delta Street in Grand River, and that's to allow I think it's DTN to put in an exercise facility on the ground floor, which was to be retail space, and that would be not only for residents but also potentially for the public who would have memberships, I guess. So that was recommended. Supported the MSU FCU building project plan as it was submitted. Had a long discussion and heard about all of that, including a giant blank wall that's going to be facing north. So it will tower over Dublin Square, if you will. And it'll be a blank party wall with not a wall to party on, but it's called a party wall in a downtown district. There, it would be built in anticipation of a building being put right next to it. So there can't be any windows or anything there. Then they also approved a variance request for the alley. The alley is going to be 4 and a half feet less wide than requested by the fire department, or that is generally approved by the fire department. It's usually 20 feet. This will be like 16 or so. And that might be handled with future development to widen that out on the west side on the DDA property. We'll have to see how that goes. And we also recommended an extension of time to Caddis Development on their memorandum of understanding with the DDA. So they have an exclusive right to negotiate with the DDA for the purchase and development of that property for another 90 days. If you guys recall, there were no other takers, no other parties at this point anyway that were interested in developing that property. So that'll expire around the end of October. So that's the update. Happy to answer any questions.
No questions? All right, written communications from the GLCVB.
So as board members are aware, every year we have, or I should say every year since I worked at the DMV, we have paid a membership fee of $250 to the GLCVB. Given COVID, they have decided that they are not going to charge the $250 fee to any member. They are going to continue with services, but they are not going to charge the fee. I haven't gotten any feedback yet on, would services be adjusted, but we will not be paying $250, so that it is something, it's a nominal amount, but it opens a little bit more up in our budget. So I wanted to share that.
Awesome. All righty. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. My mute button's going crazy.
I'll second. Roll call.
All right. Chair Crouch,
Yep.
Houston,
Yes.
Quinn,
Yes.
Kroon,
Yes.
Kruger,
Yes.
Walsh,
Yes.
and Greg.
Yes.
Okay, upcoming meetings. We have marketing on August 18th, business relations on August 28th, and our board meeting on September 1st. Those are all anticipated to be via Zoom, but I will keep everyone updated. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a great day, all.